Very good evening, guys. Welcome to Network Ethics. So today is the demo day 2 for Fine Firewall Combo training program. Okay, so those who already attend the demo of previous batch, so fine. So if you are newly attend this demo session, and yesterday we had a demo. So that demo we had a discussion with the course curriculum for all these five firewall product. Okay, so today this batch is going to start with ASA. So today's demo. I'm going to give you some fundamental things in a ASA. Okay. So we are going to have a session how to access your ASA firewall when you are getting a fresh ASA firewall, right? So how to access how where is we already morning batch we are going with a Fortinet. Okay, so we just started. So I think it's 4 to 5 session is completed. So it will take next 1 month to take. I mean, a morning session to start new batch in a morning session. Okay. So our upcoming new batches for this month is weekend batch. So that is Saturday only batch and weekdays batches. I mean, coming 15th, we are going to start one weekend batch. Okay, Saturday only batch, and we are starting coming 12th. We are going to start one new batch for firewall compo in a weekdays evening batch. The same timing, so yeah, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. timing. Okay, so it's a weekdays batch. So I'll give you the in our WhatsApp group. I'll share the schedule. What are all the our upcoming session? Sorry, batch. Everything. I'll let you know, guys. Okay. So as of now, we are going to start new batch in the evening, weekdays batch, evening 7 to 8 p.m. 12th July. We are going to start it. So that for that batch only, I'm giving a demo now. So that batch is going to start with the ASA. So yesterday we had a demo session for course curriculum discussion, and today I'm going to give you if you are getting a fresh ASA firewall, how to access your ASA firewall consoles. Okay, so what are the fundamental things you need to verify? So how to access your CLA console and how to access GUI console, both we are going to see. Okay, so I'm going to cover in this on 1 hour, right? So I'm going to give a fundamental idea about ASA. Okay, so fine. Yes, it will be shared. Okay, and so yesterday, I think you're not attending our yesterday session. So I have given all the info about the course and timing and then curriculum and then lab access and documents, everything. Okay, so I'll share the recorded video of that session. Okay, for your reference, you can able to you can go through that, and after that you can just any doubts, or if you want to talk to me, I'll share my contact number as well, so you can call me. Yeah, we'll have a discussion. Whatever your query, I'll resolve. Okay, guys. So fine. So I don't want to waste our time as of now. So let's go inside your demo. So today's demo is ASA, introduction to ASA. Okay. So and especially we are going to access our ASA console. How to access your ASA firewall very first time uh, through CLA and GUI, both we are going to see that. Okay, so let's go back to your topology. For that, I'm going to use this simple topology as of now. This is your ASA firewall, and ASA firewall interface gigabit Ethernet 0/0 is connected with your LAN network, and gigabit Ethernet 0/1 is connected with your DMZ network, where you are going to have a server segment. Okay, where let's say you may have a multiple server in your production network, web server, mail server, storage server, right? So any server, so that would be separately maintained, we'll maintain a separate network for server segments, so that is called DMZ. Okay, and then For internet connectivity, we have your Ethernet gigabit Ethernet 0/2 is connected with your internet, and for management activities, so when you're going to configure something on your firewall, right? So that and all we are going to configure through your management network, which is management interface 0/0 is connected with your management network, that is 192.168.0.0/24 network, and this is your management PC, guys. Okay, this PC is, as of now, this is your management PC, and I'm using a uh, this is my site 1 network, and this is my site 2 network. Okay, so this site 2 device also having a same network to reduce hardware utilization. So in virtual environment, I have added a same management network for these two firewalls. But in real-time scenario, in a production network, they in a site 2, they are going to have a different management network and separate management PC for to access your your ASA firewall. Okay, to configure something, either CLI or GUI, any console types, right? So they are going to have a different management network, guys, in a real-time production network. Okay, so here, so in a learning environment, so to reduce my hardware utilization, I just added for my both the sites, I'm adding a same network for management network as a management network. Okay, so if you're not able to understand what is this tool and how to deploy, how to configure, I mean, draw this topology and how to upload the image files, everything, we are going to have a separate session for your lab setup. Okay, so in upcoming live batch, we will do that. Okay, so no worries. If you're not able to understand, just leave it. I'll help you for that, how to create this EVNG lab, how to draw this topology, how to upload the image files, everything I'll help you. Okay, so sorry guys. In our today's scenario, let's assume you're getting a one fresh firewall, ASA firewall, that may be a hardware firewall or virtual machine VM firewall. Okay, so in our scenario, we are using a VM firewall, right? So, but in case if you're getting a hardware firewall, right? So the fresh ASA firewall, and your colleagues ask you to configure initial configuration, ask you to do initial configuration like enable before deploy that ASA firewall into the live production network. You need to configure fundamental things like you are enabling your LAN, WAN, DMZ interfaces, and then you need to add some default route and any routing protocol if you are having dynamic routing protocol if you're having inside your uh, internal network, so that you need to enable it. And if you have any restrictions in your network, like any of any of your users or any particular service you don't want to allow to access the internet, or from the internet you don't want to allow, right? So anybody to access your internal resources, so you have to restrict them by creating the access list, right? And when if you are allowing some users to access the internet from your internal network, so you need to allow them for and for that you need to create some rule, NAT rule, and by default, so your ASA firewall will allow all your LAN users to access any services, all services, and why it is allowing, what is the reason, and what basis it is allowing, everything we will see as of now. Okay, so only to restrict any services, any source, if you want to deny to access internet, or right, deny to access your DMZ, right? So in that case, you need to create the access list and to deny that communication, guys. Okay, but normal scenario, by default, it will allow all your internal users to access internet directly without having any rule. Okay, and for that we have a there is a reason for that, and that I'll let you know as of. Okay, so today we are not going to create any access list, or we are not going to do anything as of now. Okay, for to allow any traffic, to deny any traffic. So our today's concern is how to access your ASA firewall console, either CLI or GUI, both we are going to access very first time. And what is the approach we have to follow and what is any third party application we need, or any application we need to access the console, that and all we are going to see. And I'm going to give you the CLI console uh, just introduction. What are the mode we have and how we enter into that mode, right? So if you are familiar with the Cisco products, you you can able to easily understand. Okay. So like if you are completed your CCNA level of training, then you obviously you can able to understand, but slightly there are some changes. Okay. So between your normal Cisco IOS and ASA operating system, okay, there is some slight changes. And what are that and all we are going to see now. Okay, so let's assume I had a one I have one hardware firewall. Okay, and that firewall my colleagues are asking me to configure that. In that case, so if you have a hardware firewall, okay, so your Cisco products like router, switch, right? Router, switch and all will not support GUI. It will support only CLI, right? Command line interface only. You can able to configure if you want to configure your interface, or if you want to enable some protocol, everything you can able to do it on CLI only, right? But GUI it's not possible. But ASA firewall, from ASA any security appliances in Cisco, right? So everything they are supporting the GUI. Okay, so graphical user interface also is supported by your Cisco ASA firewall. So you can easily configure your ASA firewall interfaces and any other protocol configuration like VPN, NAT, any configuration. If you want to do that, so you don't need to go in a CLA, and you can simply do it on GUI as well. So in our training program, we are going to see both. So CLI console and GUI console, both we will use it while doing the training program, guys. Okay, so let's assume, so I'm having one fresh ASA firewall. Okay, so 5500 series. Okay, and that is a hardware firewall, right? So very first time to access your ASA console, very first time, okay, if it is a hardware firewall, and that hardware firewall have a dedicated management. Okay, so you have a dedicated management port as well. Ethernet port in your hardware firewall, you have a dedicated management Ethernet port. So with this pre-configured, okay, which is pre-configured, guys. So the IP of your management dedicated management port, which pre-configured with a GUI console access, okay, and GUI or CLI you can able to access it, and that is having IP address 192.168.1.1/24 network. Okay, so and this is your pre-configured IP address on your dedicated management interface. So in this scenario, if you're having a fresh ASA firewall, simply you can just connect your management PC and your this is my ASA firewall and your management PC Ethernet port to your ASA firewall management Ethernet port. You can connect and you can assign the IP address from this range. So default IP address is 192.168.1.1. Okay, and okay, and so the same network you have to assign the IP address from the same network in your management PC. After that, you can able to communicate via Ethernet ports, right? So you can able to communicate, and that interface is by default enabled with has a GUI console access and CLI console access. Okay, both is enabled. So any of this method by calling this IP address, any of this console, either CLI or GUI, you can able to access the console of your ASA firewall if it is hardware firewall. Okay, so or else uh, I don't have any dedicated management port, console port, in a entry level SF firewall. So in case or else my management port, Ethernet port is not working. I just want to access the console of my ASA firewall very first time. Then you have a dedicated, also you have a dedicated console port as well. In your ASA firewall, you have a dedicated console ports. So USB console port as well, and then rollover. Okay, rollover cable communication port, right? So that console port also you have. So you can just connect your in that scenario, what you need a rollover cable. Okay, so which is console cable, and you need to connect your console cable with your management PC. So in your management PC, you have some, maybe it's a serial port. It may have our USB port, USB console cable. Maybe we have it. Okay, so that console cables are different type of consoles we have. So serial port, this is that. So if you're having some, if right, so these kind of ports. So if you look at your monitor port, right, so that is your serial port, so communication port. So similarly you have some serial port. So in that so that serial port you have to connect with this serial cable with that in your management PC serial port, and one end you have to connect with your ASA hardware console port, guys. Okay, and in that scenario this is directly accessible, and you don't need to have any predefined IP address and all you need is you need a serial communication. So you need one application which is supporting the serial communication, so which is maybe putty. You can, and you need to install this application in your management PC, putty or Terraterm. Okay, Terraterm or any other application which is supporting the serial communication, so COM port communication. So let me show you that how it will look like. So you can see on console port, this is the console cable, and that one end may be it's a serial connector. It may be have, or it may be USB connector. Okay, so USB connector. Okay, and that you need to connect with your management PC, and from your management PC you can able to access in your management PC. You need a one high in either any of this application which is supporting the communication. Okay, serial COM port. Okay, serial port communication which is supporting either Teratem or Hyper Terminal or PuTTY application which is supporting the COM port communication. Okay, and what you have to do, and in that from your management PC, in that app you have to open that application and you have to choose what kind of communication tell to what kind of console you are going to access, either any so in our case, we are going to use a serial port communication. So you have to select serial port, and then COM3 port type is COM3. You have to select COM3 port. Okay. And then just click OK. It will give you the console, direct console of your ASA firewall. Okay. And if you look at that, this is not asking any IP address, right? If you're trying to access the console through telnet or SSH of your ASA firewall, in that scenario only you need a IP address. But through serial communication, it doesn't aware about the IP schema, and so come through communication port, we can able to access it. And in so if you are connect and with the physical connectivity, if you're having with your management piece, sorry, your management PC and your ASA firewall via communication port or console cable through console cable, right? So you can able to provide the console like this, guys. Okay. So in your in if you're already access your Cisco router or switches through console cable in your initial stages of uh, I mean fundamental training like CCNA, right? So if you access that the router or switch consoles through console cable, so you may work on this. Okay, you can easily understand how it is working. Okay, so even though if you're not having that knowledge, then you can just follow the steps. So all you need is you need to connect your management, your console port of your ASA firewall. That may be in case if both end are USB console, you can connect here USB. Okay, this is a USB console, or one end is a Ethernet console type, and another end is a serial communication or USB. So you have to connect your console port in your console connector in your ASA firewall, and USB you have to connect in your management PC. And after that, you need to install any of these hyperterminal applications like uh, Teraterm, Putty. Okay, so any of this application you need to install, and in that application you need to choose the communication type as a serial port, and port type is COM3 port. You have to select. After that, just click OK, and you can able to see after within a few seconds it will show the direct console of your ASA firewall, and you will be in a terminal, ASA terminal, console terminal. Okay, so here you can start to configure the fundamental things like interface configuration, assigning the IP address on your management interface. So right, everything you can able to configure, and after that you can access your ASA firewall through your management interface. Okay, or you can allow some data interface also for a management purpose. So you can, by using that IP address, you can access the consoles, either telnet, SSH, or GUI console, anything you can able to access it, guys. Okay, but if it is enough hardware uh, any hardware with this pre-configured IP address, the management interface. So that is 192.168.1.1, and username is the, by default credential is the admin, and there is no password. Okay. So if already configured with the pre-configured with the management interface in your hardware, so you can just call this IP address from your management PC to your hardware. You need to connect your hardware management interface with your management PC. Okay, and with a same network 192.168.1.1 0/24 network, and then by using this IP, predefined IP address of your management interface, by default IP, which is comes and as per the factory outlet. Okay, so by default IP address of your management interface is 192.168.1.1, and username is the admin, password is null by default. Okay, and password is null by default, and after that it will ask you to provide the password and all. In case if it is a virtual firewall, right, like as now we are getting a virtual firewall only, so that you can access, so that in a real time scenario, that virtual firewall it's by default configured with the DHCP client in a cloud environment. Okay, it will obviously it will get the IP address, but here in we are using a VM firewall, right, in a EVNG, right? So this firewall by default not configured anything. So I, as of now, you can see my management interface. This is my management interface, gigabyte ethernet 0, sorry, management interface 0/0. I'm connecting with my management PC, and I just define what is the IP address I'm going to have for my management interface, right? So very first time to access your console here, we don't have a dedicated management interface as of now. I mean, yes, we have on logical management interface, but that interface not in a VM machine, it will not configure any IP address by default. Okay, so in this tool, what is the next option to, if you don't have any pre-configured IP address or pre-enabled the management interfaces, so you have to access the console through your console cable only, right? So here we are not having a physical device, we are having a VM image, right? So to access the direct console of your ASA firewall, and just go to right click on your ASA firewall and edit, and you can choose that console type. Okay, console type, you have to select telnet to access the console, direct console. Okay, so it's similar to we are accessing directly on your console cable without calling the IP address, okay, of your management interface, right? So just double click on your to access the console, direct console, like how we access in a physical devices by using com port communication, right? So the same method, it is in a virtual tool by default it is implemented. So without access without calling the IP address or without selecting the console types. So if you double click your console, okay, on this image, it will just pop up and it will open your console access, guys. Okay, and through it is open your console telnet only. But as of now, we are not enable any telnet services in your ASA firewall, but still we can able to access it. It's because of it's assume that is your native console access. This tool is automatically support your native console access. Okay, so so that we are getting into the ASA console, guys. Okay, so let me expand this. Okay, I hope now it is visible to everyone. So now this is my ASA firewall, right? So right now I'm in a ASA firewall CLI console. So this symbol, any idea, guys? What is this? This symbol denotes any idea in Cisco, the same console terminal only you are getting it, right? So your Cisco router and switches. So this denotes, what is that, guys? Just we are in a okay, we are in a user mode, right? So sometimes we call it as a enable mode. Okay, user mode only. This is user mode, right? So in a user mode, what you can able to do it, guys? In user mode, what we can able to do it? You can able to just verify the configuration, right? So commands and test commands you can able to execute, right? So you can just verify some view commands, right? So use the command. So here I'm going to use some so commands. So I just want to know what is the IP assignment of my interfaces. Okay, what is the IP is assigned in my interfaces? So what are the interfaces are enabled properly? That and all I just want to know that. So what is the command, guys? In a Cisco in Cisco router and switch, what command you will use it for that? So interface, so interface IP brief, or so IP interface brief in a Cisco IOS. I mean Cisco router and switch. So IP interface brief, right? So let me use the command show IP. See, I'm not getting any help command help as well. So in your in if it is a Cisco router and switch, obviously I get a help command in this scenario. Okay. So the reason, so actual command in a Cisco router you are going to use so IP interface brief only. Okay, and you will get a output for your interface configuration. But here in ASA, it's little bit different. Okay, so what you have to use? So interface, sorry, it's not showing. So interface, so commands, some of the so commands, this so commands can be executable in your enable mode. Okay, not in your, sorry. Yes, exactly. So it will be executable in enable mode only. Okay, not in a user mode. So in a user mode, you can use so Just let me, you can check with some other configuration like ping, trace, route, and show your configuration. So software, so software, okay, and you can use your software information running. Okay, what is the running your software information? What is the operating system version, or what is your uh, unit, right? Cisco information you can able to see in this commands, and as well as you can do some basic fundamental commands. You can able to do it in like ping, trace, route, these kind of thing, like okay, in a enable mode. Okay, sorry, your user mode. But if you want to execute the I mean, if you want to verify the configuration in detailed manner, so you can go with the enable mode. Okay, so for that, what is the command you have to use to enter into the enable mode? Just use the keyword enable, and you can and if you look at that, right, it is asking some password. Let me exit. Okay, right now I'm in a user mode. I need to go into the enable mode, so to verify my configuration details and my interface details and all. Okay, so enable, and now you can see if it is a Cisco router, if you are enable your enable password or secret, then only it will ask you to provide the password. But in a ASA firewall, by default it will ask your enable password, and by default we don't have any such a password, so you no need to give anything, just hit that. And so if, instead of that, if you're giving any some password, it will not allow you, because we are not enable anything to secure your enable mode. Okay, so but still, since it's a security device, it will ask you to provide the password, and no need to provide any password, just hit enter and you will be automatically allowed to enter in your enable mode, guys. Okay, so now I need to verify my interface details. Okay, so what is the command for that? So so interface, sorry, so in a Cisco router, so IP interface, right? So you'll not able to get any answer. So IP interface brief, right? So this is the command in your Cisco router normally. Okay, but in your USA firewall, you have to use a different command. I mean, not different command. Okay, so you have to use slight changes in this command. In your adapt in your ASA operating system, you have some little slight changes in changes in your command line to verify some configurations, and to enter into the interface mode and configure some interface configurations are little bit different than normal Cisco router. Okay, so now use the command interface show interface IP brief. Okay, in your ASA, sorry, in your Cisco router, you will use show IP interface brief, but in your ASA, show interface IP brief is the command to check your interface configuration. Okay, so you can see that we have management interface. No issues, money. Fine, I can able to understand. Just leave it. Okay, so you can see that your management interface, and that is not having as of now uh, to access your console, either CLA or GUI. Okay, so my management interface is down. Administratively, that interface is down and IP is not assigned. So now I want to, right now I'm in a which mode? it's an enable mode, or you can say it's a privilege mode. Okay, so right now I'm in a privilege mode, so where I can able to use the show commands, execute the show commands, right? So you're now I want to configure something on my firewall. Like I just want to configure my interface, like management interface. I just want to assign the IP address of my management interface. Okay, and my IP address for my LAN WAN interfaces. So let me start with the management interface first. Okay, so and to configure on your interface, you need to enter into which mode? Which mode we need to we need to enter it? So configuration mode it, right? So configuration mode, or you can say it's sometime global configuration mode. So to enter into the configuration mode, you have to use the keyword configure terminal. Okay, so right now I'm in a configuration mode. So whatever the changes I want to do it, like interface level or enable any protocol configuration, right? Any enabling some services like HTTP, HTTPS, right? Any services, I can do it in this mode only. No issues, money. You can call me. Okay. And I'll be in another session of 8:30 by 8:30. Okay. So before that, if you can call me, or else you can call me after 10 o'clock. Okay. So fine. So right now I'm in a configuration mode, right? I just want to configure my interface, which is my management interface 0/0. So I need to go inside my interface level, right? So for that, which command will you use it? Select your interface, and which interface? That is my management interface, right? So management interface 0/0, interface management and 0/0. Which interface? 0/0 interface, and head into that interface. Right now I'm in a interface mode. Okay, so here I can enable my interface properly. So I just want to assign the IP address for my management interface. And what is the IP address in my management interface? So as of now, I'm going to configure from this network 192.160.0.0/24 network. So let's say 0.150 I'm going to assign as of now. Okay. So just what is the command to assign the IP address? IP address 192.168.0.150 is the IP, and after that you have to define your subnet mask. This is /24 network, right? So you have to use 255.255.255.0. Okay, and now to enable this interface, right? So I'm going to what command you have I just assigned the IP address, right? So now this interface is enabled or not, that I just want to verify. So to verify this command, sorry, interface configuration, interface IP, right? So what is the command I have to use? Show command only we have to use it, right? So what is the command for that? To check your IP schema on your interfaces. Show interface IP brief, right? Will this command execute in this mode, or it will be execute in your enable mode or privilege mode? Will this command will be executed here? In the router, Cisco router, the global configuration commands will be privilege mode commands will be executed in a global configuration directly. In Cisco router, I'm asking in Cisco router, your in global configuration mode, any your privilege mode or previous mode commands can be executable in your Cisco router, not right? So if you want to execute that command, in before your command you have to use do command, do keyword, right? So in ASA, the show command can be executable in any mode. Okay, so your global in your privilege mode, configuration mode, and global configuration mode, any mode, you can able to directly use this command. You no need to add any keyword like do anything. Okay, and you can see show in right now I'm in a global configuration mode. I'm in an interface mode. So from that, I just want to check whether my interface is enabled or not. What is the IP address? Okay, and it is showing that my interface IP. Yes, we assign that, and that is manually assigned. Everything is fine. And now still it is showing what is that? My interface is down. Administratively, that interface is down. Okay, administratively down, and by protocol wise, your interface is up. Okay, but administratively that interface is down. So what you have to do to enable that interface? So after assign the IP address in normal Cisco router also we'll use this to enable that interface. We'll use some command, right? So we have to use we have to use no shut, right? No shut is the command to enable your interface manually. Okay, and now you can just use the same command to verify whether your interface is enabled properly or not. Now you can see your interface is enabled and manual status is up, protocol is up. Okay, so now let me ping, let me verify whether my interface is active properly or not. Okay, so go to your management PC. From my management PC, I'm going to ping my ASA firewall management interface, which is having IP address 192.168.0.150. So will it ping? Will it ping, guys? Your interface is up, okay, and then manually, administratively also it's up, and protocol also up, but still you're not able to get the reply. We are getting what kind of error we are getting? Destination host is unreachable, which means that maybe that interface link failure may be happened or interface may down. Okay, link failure means connectivity issue or interface down, right? In a link failure itself. So what is the reason, guys? Any idea? So the reason, let me check your in your ASA firewall, it's not enough just enable your interface and assigning the IP address and protocol wise making up, right? So it's not enough to enable your interface properly. Okay, so you need to do one more thing. Okay, so you have to assign the interface name for the interface. Okay, then only your interface will work properly. Okay, and okay, and then you need to assign some security level as well. Okay, so there are two different things you need to additionally. It's not like normal Cisco router and switches. So you need to enable your interface. Just assigning, you need to assign the IP address and you need to make a protocol is up, and it's not enough to activate your interface properly, and you need to assign the name for your interface, and some along with that you need to provide some security level value. Security level is the integer value, and you can able to assign from 0 to 100, and your ASA firewall by default it is working based on the security level concept only, guys. Okay, so that I'll let you know later. So as of now, so to enable your interfaces you need to assign the name. So to assign the name you have to use the keyword name. If name if is the command to assign the name for your interface, and this interface is belongs to management interface. So let me give a name mgmt. Okay, and then and you can see as soon as you've given us some name on your interface and that is set some value 0, and what is that security level for management interface is 0. Okay, and by default it is set. Okay, and by default security level value is either 0 and 0 and 100 is the by default value. So the 100 will be assigned only for interface, inside interface. If any interface is having a name as a inside, that interface will be automatically assigned the security level value 100, because inside inside means your LAN interface. Okay, that LAN interface is managed by you and more securable interface, so that it is assigning the security value, highest security value, more trustable interface, and more trustable network is connected on that inside interface. So by default, it is assigned the security value 100. And rest of the any name, if you are giving any name for the any specific name, if you're giving to your any data interfaces or management interface, any interface, by default it will set the security level as 0. Okay, so the security level 0 is non-trustable interface, so less secure, and it will not trust anything. Okay, your ASA will not, any request is coming from your low security level interface, and your ASA firewall by default it will deny the traffic. It will not allow. Okay. So even though this is a management network, we have a security level is 0 by as of now we assign the IP address and security level is 0, right? So now execute your execute the same. Now you can see as of now, after assign the name, we are getting the reply. Okay. So reason, my interface is enabled. As of now, my interface is enabled. If I'm requesting any service, I mean any services, let me go to the topology. So in case from my management interface, I'm trying to ping my LAN inside network, or I'm trying to ping my DMZ network, right? Or I'm trying to ping my WAN network. Okay, except my management network, I'm trying to ping any other network through this interface. Since I have a security level 0, so this is your firewall consider this is a non-securable interface. So any request is coming to access your internal networks, so that will be denied by default since it having a less security level. Okay, so that's the reason. But it will accept the traffic to the traffic. Okay, so we will discuss to the traffic and through the traffic in a live session. Okay, so what is to the traffic? By default, ICMP traffic is allowed for to the traffic. Okay, sorry, in a highest security level to lowest security level, by default, ICMP is denied. Okay, for to the traffic, and sorry, to the traffic ICMP is accepted, but through the traffic ICMP is denied. Okay, so highest security low to lowest security level. Okay, so but to the traffic TCP UDP traffic is denied. So which means like let's say take telnet, SSH, right? Or any these services for to the traffic is by default is denied. So you have to enable to accept the traffic to take a console of your management interface. Okay, through either it's a HTTP console, GUI console access, or telnet or SSH, that is comes under the TCP and UDP communication, right? So that protocol only it is going to use TCP protocol. So that is comes under the to the traffic. Now from my management PC, now I'm able to ping my the same management interface. Okay, I'm able to ping. So ICMP is allowed as of now. So this is the to the traffic, right? So the same interface, if I try to take a console of telnet or SSH or GUI console, by default this is TCP traffic. And TCP UDP traffic is denied for to the traffic. In case if it is a through the traffic, and if it is having a highest security level, let's say 100, and it will be allowed, so you can able to communicate your LAN users from management network and DMZ users from management network and your WAN network as well without having any restriction, because that is your by default working principle of your ASA, guys. Okay, so your ASA will decide whenever it is whenever it is receiving any IP packet for to the direct to the traffic to the direct traffic means the destination itself your ASA firewall. Destination itself your ASA firewall. So when you generate the traffic as a destination itself your ASA firewall, that is for management traffic. When you want to take a console of telnet or SSH or GUI console, right? So that time only you're going to access for your ASA firewall interfaces along with your network services ICMP service. Okay, so to the traffic ICMP is only allowed, but rest of the TCP UDP traffic is not allowed. But through the traffic means the destination is not your ASA firewall. The traffic is passing through your ASA firewall and it will reach your different proper destination. And your ASA firewall is going to do monitor the traffic. Sorry, it is going to inspect the traffic. Okay, so based on your access list, you are going to whether it is going to allow or deny that inspection only. It is going to do that, but firewalling procedure only it is going to do that. But it will not accept any traffic. It is going to act like a medium to pass the traffic to the proper destination. So this in this scenario, this traffic is called through the traffic for your firewall. So through the traffic, in case your firewall receive your firewall is going to receive two different type of traffics. One is through the traffic. So in case it is the through the traffic, high security level to low security level through the traffic, all TCP UDP traffic is by default it is allowed. By default it is allowed. So you have, if you want to restrict, then you have to create an access list to deny that. And for to the traffic, only ICMP is allowed, and TCP here ICMP is not allowed for through the traffic, and to the traffic ICMP is allowed, but TCP UDP traffics are not allowed. This is the by default working principle of your ASA firewall. Okay, so your ASA firewall always take a decision based on the security level. So always whenever you are defining a name for your the security level is the numerical value, that can be assigned from 0 to 100, and highest security level is the highly trustable interface or network, and lowest security level network is untrustable network. Okay, so from any request is received on your ASA firewall from highly trustable network, your ASA will not do inspection. It will simply allow the traffic. Any request is coming from low security level like WAN network, so from 0 to 100 high security level, if it is try to communicate, so by default it will deny. So if you want to allow that communication, you need to write a rule access by using access control list to allow the traffic. Okay, so this is your by default working nature of your ASA firewall, guys. Okay, so in deeper, we will discuss in upcoming session. So due to time concern, I am unable to explain more. So I want to show you the GUI console access of your ASA firewall. Okay. So now go to your management PC. See, from my management PC, as of now, as I said, I am initiating the traffic. So this traffic is what kind of traffic, guys? To the traffic or through the traffic? From my management PC, I'm trying to ping my management interface of my ASA firewall. Okay, so this is what kind of traffic? To the traffic or through the traffic? To the traffic, right? Since it's a to the traffic, what kind of services are allowed? Traffics are allowed. ICMP service, which means the ping only it is allowed, right? So the same to the traffic I'm going to initiate with a different traffic like TCP TCP traffic, which means I'm going to access the GUI console. Sorry, yes, GUI console of my ASA firewall through my management PC browser. Okay, so this is my management PC browser, and the same destination I'm going to initiate. This time I'm not going to use ICMP. I'm going to use HTTP service, so which is my TCP traffic, right? So HTTP by default your ASA will not support HTTP, and it will support only HTTPS protocol. Okay, so HTTPS, and just give your management interface of your, because we already enable your management interface IP and we enable that interface everything by assigning the name and security level, right? So HTTPS Just give 192.168.0.150. Okay, and let's see what will happen. So will your ASA firewall will allow this communication as of now, guys? Your ASA firewall, what kind of traffic is this? Is it to the traffic or through the traffic? Is there to the, yes, exactly. This is a HTTP traffic. And what kind of traffic? To according to your ASA firewall. So your ASA firewall need to respond this traffic, or it is going to pass the traffic to the any other destination. The destination itself, it's your ASA firewall, because we are trying to access your ASA firewall GUI console. We are calling ASA firewall management interface IP only. So your the it's your ASA need to be responded. Since it's a TCP traffic, HTTP is a HTTPS is the TCP traffic, and for to the traffic direction, right? So your ASA will not, by default, will not accept any TCP traffic. By default, it will accept only ICMP traffic, so that we are getting a reply. Okay, without having any configuration, without creating any rule, without allow any services. Okay, but when we initiated the TCP traffic, HTTPS, to access the GUI console of your ASA firewall, we are not able to get the reply. The reason, by default, your ASA firewall will not accept any to the traffic as a TCP traffic. Okay, so we are initiating the HTTPS server traffic. That is your to the traffic, right? So that is the TC. Since it's a to the traffic direction, since it's a TCP, and by default it will not allow to communicate, right? So now what we we have to do? We have to allow this communication in your ASA firewall. So okay, so for that, go to your ASA firewall GUI CLI console, right? And just verify first your interface with a name and security level. So for that, you have to use the command show name if is the command to your properly enabled interface details. You can see as of now, your management interface 0/0. In this list only, you can able to see whether your interface is properly enabled or not by your IP schema. So IP interface brief. So interface IP brief command, it just showing you whether what is the IP and whether that interface is manually up or not. But your interface, if you want to work properly, then you need to assign the name as well. So for that, to verify whether properly enabled interface details, you can use show name if the command. Okay, and it will show you what is the interface and what is the name for that interface, what is the security level. Okay, so as of now, I just want to enable my I want to accept the traffic on my management interface for HTTP services, right? So now go to configuration mode. Okay, first, I need to accept what kind of service is this? This is a TCP traffic and HTTPS traffic, right? So HTTP and HTTPS traffic, anything, let's say HTTP. Okay, so now what I need to do, I need to enable that services on my interface, and I need to allow who all can access my that interface through HTTP or HTTPS console. That I need to enable in my configuration mode. So now first, we are accessing the GUI console through HTTP or HTTPS, right? So that services. So let's now I'm going to enable HTTP service in my ASA firewall to accept the GUI console access in my management interface. Okay. So for that, first you need to enable HTTP services. So just use the command HTTP server enable. This is the command to accept, I mean, to enabling your HTTP service in your ASA firewall, and after that we need to accept that HTTP access in your management interface. Okay, so now we just enable that services. Okay, now we are going to accept that services on your management interface. In case anybody try to access the HTTP console via your management interface, so we need to accept it. because we are going to access the console of your GUI console of your ASA through management interface only, right? So use that command http and just give a question mark, and what is your host name or any specific network you want to allow to accept the HTTP services, which HTTP which network request you want to accept for the HTTP service access for my management network, right? So you need to define here your management network. Okay, so HTTP, and what is your management, which network you want to allow to access your HTTP console of, I mean, GUI console of your ASA firewall. My management network as of now 192.168.0.0/24 network. And what is the subnet mask? So /24 network 255.255.255.0. Okay, and then what is the interface, on which interface the HTTP services you want to access from this network. So that network is connected with my management network, right? So management interface, so you have to define your interface name here. So what is the interface? Currently I have only one interface properly enabled, that is management interface. This is the name, MGMT is the name. So that name you have to define here. So management name MGMT. Okay, and that's it, guys. So now my ASA firewall will accept the HTTP request and via my management interface if suppose the request is coming from 192.168.0.0/24 network. Okay, and right. So now go to here and your AS. So your ASA firewall. Sorry, GUI console. Right now I'm in a management PC and I'm trying to take a console of my ASA firewall GUI console and HTTP. So if you try to access HTTP through HTTP, okay, 192.168.0.150, will it accept? By default, your ASA firewall, I mean, since it's a security product, it will not support HTTP services. Okay, so even though if you are enable HTTP services in your ASA firewall, it will be automatically convert as a HTTPS services. So you can able to access through HTTPS services. Okay, so by calling HTTPS and your management interface IP, and you can able to access the GUI console of your ASA firewall. Now you can see that. Okay, and go to advanced and proceed, and now you can see right now we are in a GUI console page of your ASA firewall, right, and Cisco ASA firewall, and it is asking us to install one application to access the GUI console. You can't directly access the GUI console from your browser, a GUI console of your ASA firewall. So you need to install this ASDM launcher, adaptive security device management. ASDM means adaptive security device management. This is an application which help us to access the GUI console. So you need to install this application in your management PC, guys. Okay, let just install this application, and you can see while installing that it is asking some credential. As of now we are not having we are not having any credential, right? So just leave it and just try to sign in, and now you can see it is downloaded. In case if you want to protect this download by you providing the valid username and password, then you have to create some user account local in a local database of your ASA firewall. You need to create some user account, guys. Okay, so for that you can create like this username. It's like says and is the username, and then just make it username is NE, and then privilege for this user, sorry, password for this user to authenticate. I'm going to give a password as 123, and privilege, I'm going to allow him to full access of my ASA firewall through GUI console access. Okay, for him. So the privilege, you just make it as a 50. Okay, and okay, so username, at least you should have a minimum three character. Okay, so NE1, username is NE1. Okay, now username and password, uh, privileges, we have database we have created. Okay, so now what you have to do, so this user, whenever it is asking for some authentication, right? So whatever the, let me go here once again. HTTPS 192.168.0.150. Okay, so now it is already authenticated, right? So let me go here. Okay, go to advanced and continue. And sorry, it's already authenticated. It's not asking you the username password, but very first time when we are access that console, right? So sorry, let me try to download. So you can see now it is asking that user input to authenticate the right user, right? So this user, whatever the this particular administrator give as a username and password, his credential, that's need to authenticate, that's need to verify whether the right, he is the right user or not, right? So that authentication can be done in your ASA local user database. Okay, which we have created as of now. So the database created, but we need to use this database, local user database only, to whenever the user is giving his credential as a input, we need to match. If the user is not a right person, will it will not allow the console to download your ASDM application, as well as it will not allow to access the GUI console of your ASA firewall. So we need to verify them users properly, right? So you need to enable that authentication process as well. So in that scenario, you have to use AAA authentication, user authentication. Okay, authentication. I'm going to do authentication for which console access? For what service you want to authenticate? I just want to authenticate when the user is trying to access the HTTP console, HTTP service. Okay, and as a console access. Okay, and I'm going to use my user database. So if you give a question mark, the database, you can have a your local user database. So right now, whatever the user we have created, that will be stored in this local database only. And you can also have a some remote user database, uh, like Takas, Radius, right? So that servers you may have remote user database user authentication servers. So as of now, we don't have this remote user authentication servers. We have a local database. Okay, so that in the inside that local database, we have some user input. We have created the username is NE1 and password is 123. So this database we have created. So whenever user give us his input, that needs to be matched with the local database, and local should be in a uppercase, because the database will be case sensitive, guys. Database name is a case sensitive, so you have to define as local. If you are define as a smaller case as a local, it will not accept that. Okay, so your database name should be a case sensitive, and we are going to authenticate the users with a proper username and password. Okay, and that's it. Okay, now go back to your management PC. Now try to give some user credential. Instead of NE1, just give NQ, wrong password, username and password, and sign in. And you can see it will not allow you to log in, because this is authenticated by your with local database. As per the local user database, we have one user credential user database, and that is your username is the NE1 and password is 123. That is the proper credential. So now go to here and give your user proper username and password NE1 and password is 123, and now hit enter. Now you can see it is allow you to download that ASDM application, and that is downloaded. So you can just install that application and okay, and go next and finish it. So that ASDM application is installed. So now to access the GUI console of your ASA firewall, you need to launch that ASDM application. Okay, and go to your ASDM application, Cisco ASDM. This is that application, right? So I just we have downloaded and we have installed it. And now try to I think it is not properly installed. I need to Cisco ASDM just install properly, because I the same application I have already installed it, and just uninstall once and reinstall your Cisco ASDM application. Go to your here, and we already downloaded, right? Install. Now I'm installing that ASDM application. Yes, accept, finished. Okay, so installation process is completed, and just type ASDM launcher. Okay, I need to reboot. So that file is already in that same path only. So sometime, okay, let me. So it is uninstalled. Yeah, I can understand. I can understand. So usually it will, if you reboot your machine properly, it will be. So let me. Okay. If you reboot your machine, then we have to reconnect everything. So let me try once again. Okay, do one thing. Meanwhile, instead of doing that, just give me a few minutes. I'll add one more PC here. Okay, once it is booted, we'll start to install that ASDM application in this machine, and we'll launch the ASDM application. Okay, sorry for this delay. Because my first installation, while I'm installing that application, I'm not properly uninstalled, so that's the reason it is unable to launch launch your application again. So some file property issue. Just 10 minutes, guys. I'll show the GUI console of a ASA firewall, and we'll wind up the session. So this PC, as of now, it is added as part of your management network. Okay, so it is also going to have IP address from your management network, that is 192.168.0.0/24 network. Okay, Okay, just check your IP schema of this machine. And you can see 190.168.0.0/24 network only. Okay, so let me check and we have any ASDM application installed in this machine. Okay, not okay. So and then we have to install. So just go to your browser and access your ASA firewall management network. But I mean management piece interface through your HTTP service, right? So HTTPS services, because we need to install to access the GUI console access properly of your ASA firewall. We need to install that application that can be installed in your by I mean that can be download from your ASA firewall only. So that can be download from HTTPS by calling your management interface of your ASA firewall, right? Now just go to advanced and save. Now you can see and just try to install ASDM launcher. Username is the NE1. Password is NE1. Password is 123. Okay, sign in. Now download your ASDM application. So ASDM application is successfully download. Install that application. Run. So now it is installing that application. So go next. Install in the location and install your ASDM application. Okay. So now that ASDM application is installed properly. So let's launch the ASDM application. Go to apps. It's going to the app store. So just minimize this. You can go to this shortcut and just double click your ASDM. Now your ASDMS launcher is ready to access your GUI console and it is asking some IP address of your ASA firewall. That is your management interface IP. What is that? That is 192.168.0.150. 150. And what is the username and password? So as of now, we just define in a local user database. The username is NE1 and password is 123. If it in normal, if it is a physical hardware, by default, username is admin and there is no password. But in our scenario, we already defined that, right? So username is NE1 and password is 123. And just try to launch, just click OK and it will launch your ASDM application. Yes, no issues, just continue. And now it is loading your GUI console of your ASA firewall, guys. Okay, so this is your ASA firewall GUI console. Okay, so from here you can able to install, you can able to do whatever you want to do in your ASA firewall to configure, enable some services, or just monitoring related activities, enabling your interfaces, creating the rules, everything you can able to do it in this console, guys. So you no need to depends on any command line as well. So you can able to manage your ASA firewall through command line interface and as well as GUI interface as well. It's not like any other Cisco router switch products. Okay, so it will support GUI and CLI, guys. Okay, so if you want to create some interface level configuration, if you want to do it, or rules if you want to configure in your ASA firewall access list, right? So just go to the configuration and here. So if you want to configure your interface and go to interface and select your interfaces, go to your interfaces and select. As of now, your management interface is enabled, right? So you can see the interface name and then interface is enabled and security level is 0, right? And likewise, you can enable your interfaces, other interfaces, whichever the interface you want, you can select and you can able enable that. And likewise any routing configuration if you want to do that, and you can just go here and you can do your routing related configuration. If you want to create a rules to allow or deny some traffic, and go to firewall and just create your rules. So an access control list and NAT rules, okay, and authentication, AAA authentication rules, okay, use everything you can able to manage from here, okay, in your ASA firewall. Like if you want to configure your SSL VPN and go to here to configure your remote access VPN. If you want to configure a site-to-site VPN, you can able to configure from here in this site-to-site VPN configuration console. Okay, and your device management activities like taking a backup and then high availability and then license upgradation, updating, right? So that kind of things you can able to do it in device management activities. Okay, and like any monitoring related activities you can able to do from here in this console. Okay, okay, guys, and more about this console, GUI console, we will discuss in our upcoming live session. So in your home menu, it will give you the some statistical view of your uh, ASA firewall. So you will get some device information and then hardware, software info, hardware utilization, right? So your connection table information. So and everything, your live traffic flow, right? So all these details you can able to see in your home menu. Okay, guys, and a lot of option we have in a GUI console. So that we are going to explore in upcoming live session, guys. Okay.